Yeah, hi, this is KHALED. Shebani will demonstrate the RNY gastric bypass using the ECHELON stapler. We start by retracting the left lobe of the liver by attaching an Alice clamp to the diaphragm. Then we access the lesser sac by dividing the hepatogastric ligament. Now we're seeing the posterior wall of the stomach, and we will transect the stomach using a gold load 3.8 millimeter. We start now horizontally, then we're gonna go vertically over a 34 French Adlic tube that will be passed by the anesthesia team. The tube is in place, and as you can see, we are uh, going upwards or cephalad. And now we can see the spleen. Care must be taken to avoid any injury to the spleen that can cause excessive bleeding and can lead to converting to open surgery. Now this is the final firing, and we will check for the completion of the transection. And as you can see here, the transection is complete. The next step is to split the omentum, that fatty curtain that covers the bowel, and we will split the omentum longitudinally. And the purpose is to facilitate the passage of the rule limb to the gastric pouch to minimize the tension on the anastomosis. And we are using the harmonic scalpel for this step. Now we can identify the ligament of Trides, which marks the end of the duodenum and the beginning of the jejunum, and we will run the jejunum for a distance between 30 to 50 centimeters, depending on the bulkiness of the transverse mesocolon. Now we transect the bowel. Now we will run the rule limb based on the patient BMI, which happened to be in this case 55 kg per meter squared. We will run the rule limb for a length of 100 centimeters. Now we will re-establish the continuity of the bowel by performing the jejunostomy. We place a stay suture between the biliopancreatic limb and the rule limb. We performed 2 enterotomies, starting with the biliopancreatic limb. We make sure we are all the way inside the lumen. Likewise, we're going to perform an enterotomy in the rule limb. And again, we check that we are all the way inside the lumen. Then we will perform a 60 millimeter stapled anastomosis using a 3.5 blue load. And the 3.5 that refers to the height of the staples, or the open height as opposed to the closed height. And in this particular stapler, none of those loads come in basically 6 different heights. Now we close the side enterotomy again using a blue load, and you notice that we are using the neonet Surgicel as a buttressing material. We will check now for the back wall of the limb and the common channel, and we will place an anti-obstruction stitch between the biliopancreatic limb and the limb, just proximal to the anastomosis. That will prevent the kinking of the bowel and a potential post-operative bowel obstruction. I think this is a crucial step when performing the jejun or jejunostomy. And we are running the stitch here, and we're going to continue downwards. Now is to close the mesenteric rent between the mesentery of the biliopancreatic limb and the mesentery of the rule limb. And we cinch down the tissue, and as you can see here now, the gap or the rent is closing nicely. And we are using here a resorbable 2-0 stitch. Now we tie the stitch to itself. That closes the gap nicely. Now we're gonna prepare for the gastrojejunostomy. We play 2-stay suture between the rule limb and the gastric pouch. That's basically will line up the pouch and the rule limb nicely. Now we're going to perform the enterotomies. We start with the rule limb. Now we are making the enterotomy. Now it's in the gastric pouch, and we're going to pass a gold load or 3.8 millimeters. That's slightly for thicker tissue than the blue load. Now we're going to pass the Edlick tube, and the purpose of the Edlick tube, it will serve as a sizer of the anastomosis to keep it around 34 French, or about 11 millimeters. So we don't have a too big of anastomosis or too narrow. Now we're going to use the 4.1 millimeter green load to close the side enterotomy. Again, this is designed for slightly thicker tissue. And as you can see here, now the powered feature works very nicely here. And we see a very good staple line formation. Now we're going to reinforce the staple line with resorbable stitch. We're going to use the running technique. we're gonna tie to the um, stay suture that we placed originally. And as you can see here, the reinforcement is nice and tight. There's no bleeding. Now we're gonna test the anastomosis underwater bath by irrigating with saline. As you can see here, there's no air bubbles. It's airtight. And we will milk the air distally to test for the distal anastomosis patency. Looks good. Now we're going to close the Peterson defect, which basically is the defect between the rulum mesentery and the transverse mesocolon. Use the same running stitch technique with a resorbable 2-0 stitch. This concludes my demonstration of the RNY gastric bypass using the powered ECHELON endopath stapler. Thank you.